So one of the goals of
there.
this show is to highlight the amazing people and events that happen in the esport and competitive gaming space. Every week on our segment, IRL Esports, we'll try to feature a different personality in the scene, and this time we have a pre-recorded interview with moi, with one of the founders of Hi-Rez Studio, the maker of the hit title Smite and Paladins. It's Smite Masters Week this week, and I hope you're checking it out because it's live now.
It's awesome.
And don't watch it. No, I hope we'll stay here.
Stay here and then afterwards.
And we have Todd Harris on the show to speak to us about what's been going on with their titles and their recently launched standalone company called Skillshot, which this is very, very cool. So please, let's take it away and see what we had to say from earlier today.
It's a rhyme.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome. We're talking here with IRL Esport. We're here with Todd Harris. Todd, people may not know who you are. I mean, I know who you are. I'm excited to get to talk to you, but can you tell the viewers who you are and just a bit about yourself?
Sure. Hopefully they know our games. That's more important than me. But I'm one of the co-founders of a developer publisher called Hi-Rez Studios. We're here in Atlanta. We're about 400 people. And we focus on basically competitive online games. So we're best known for the game Smite, the mythology-themed third-person MOBA. And we have a game that also released just this week called Paladins, which is a team-based shooter. And a few other games also, primarily for the PC, Xbox, PlayStation. We're dabbling a bit in mobile. And so, yeah, my background is coding and programming, but I haven't done that in a long time. These days, it's a bit more on the business side, but just always had a passion, really since 7th grade, for making and playing games.
Oh, awesome. Now, it's been busy for you guys, right? In fact, you had a pretty big event just this last weekend with the Masters for Paladins, and you have Smite occurring there right now in these newly renovated studios. In fact, you guys started what is like a new production studio called Skillshot. Now, what is Skillshot, and why did Hi-Rez have a need for something like that?
That's a good question. So Skillshot is basically an esports tournament operator, league operator, and production facility. And really the need for Skillshot came from our history of operating leagues for our own games. So the Smite Pro League, the Paladins Pro League, these are pretty sophisticated global operations, and it's just time to level up esports for high-res titles. And so a dedicated facility, some focused leadership, and a group of 35 people just focused on esports. We just think it'll be better for the professionals that are playing our games, better content for the community that enjoys watching the games. So just trying to take our esports, our take on esports to the next level.
So I know that you guys, so I watched the YouTube video and I was really excited about the announcement, and we had a little bit of time to talk before the interview about kind of what my history is. The thing is you talk a lot about, as you went through, you talked about soundproofing around the rooms and all that sort of stuff. How did you go about building a facility like that? Like, did you have esport, like your players be a part of it? Like, what does that process look like?
Yeah, so again, this is kind of the result of just learning as we went for the past, I would say, 5 years, actually starting with Tribes Ascend and then early Smite. We saw this appetite to play our games competitively. At first, we were literally casting games out of bedrooms. We had an employee, Bart, and out of his room, he would cast some tribes, and the production notes would be telling him to make his bed because it would look better on stream. Right? That was the level of our production. And then from bedrooms to inside the facility, we kind of carved out a closet, and then we carved out a whole building, which is the Alexander building that I'm in now. But the step that we've taken with Skillshot is spending about $1 million and just trying to talk with our players and the production team and the league operators around what they needed. So yeah, we talk about soundproofing a lot, because it was a big problem in the old facility we had in this same building. We had a pretty cool stage set up, but Team A, when they were talking about maybe stealing the Fire Giant, if they were too excited, even though we had the players with headsets, like they're worried that Team B right over on the other side of the stage could hear them. So that was a very key requirement from the team, is let's put these guys in soundproof boxes. So they're facing off like versus style so they can see the other folks. I guess if they got really excited, they could get up and pound the glass. But about competitive integrity. It's about, making sure it's a good place for them to play. Another need like that were practice rooms. So we have 4 dedicated, also soundproof team rooms. So before they take LAN, they can play as a team, they can talk strategy, it's hooked up with great PCs. And again, it's just an area where they know no one's going to be eavesdropping, and they can get their practice in before they play. So things like that we just kind of learned as we've gone.
So like I said, you guys actually have the Smite Masters going on there. Smite. What is it? You have Smite playing right now. You have pro players playing now. What feedback have you gotten? Any feedback on the facility? What was the player reaction so far?
Oh, it's been great. I mean, it's been super satisfying. We literally opened this up for the first time for LAN play and players yesterday. So everything worked. That's always a good thing. I mean, with most LAN events, there are issues at the beginning.
Yeah.
But because the whole facility has been designed around LAN play, it was a very, very solid day. And that honestly doesn't usually happen on day one. There's often startup issues. So that was an amazing start. Knock on this table. We'll continue it today. And yeah, I've been talking to the players as they've been here, and they've really enjoyed the environment. I think it's just a big step up from where they were before. And many of them have traveled, this particular Masters tournament. It's not just North America. It's not just Europe. We have a team from Southeast Asia, from Latin America, right? I mean, they've come a long way. And so it always feels good when you travel and there's a place that feels like it's set up for you to perform at your best. And so far, that's what we've heard, which has been good.
That's awesome. Now, with Skillshot being like a fully dedicated tournament operator and production company, what can we see in the future coming from Skillshot? Beyond just Paladins and Spite tournaments, are we talking about daily live streams? I've watched your show that's basically filmed there as well, but is there any other stuff that's on the cusp? What can we expect?
Well, certainly just more content. I mean, if you look at the Skillshot webpage, it says community-driven esports. And so as a developer at Hi-Rez, we've always been about kind of taking feedback from the community. And now it's very early in the life cycle for Skillshot. We're going to be very interactive with the community and try to respond around the type of content they're looking for and really drive more interactivity. For example, one thing we've been talking about is more content that shows behind the scenes of how a production is put together, right? What went into the design of this studio, and what are the players thinking as they're warming up for a game. So kind of that behind the scenes content is something that we're much better positioned to do. And then again, to the point of just leveling up Smite and Paladins, if you take the World Championship, which has always been a great event for us, but because we have this facility, when we look at this year, 2018, we're basically combining a phase that'll be played at this studio with a live event partnering with DreamHack Atlanta for the final 3 days. That means we can invite a lot more teams. I think we're going to have 18 Smite PC teams all coming to Worlds, and it's going to encompass something like 9 days of play. The first half being right around me, and then the final teams making it to DreamHack and playing on the big stage. And so that extended path to Worlds, which will also be doing something very similar for Paladins, that's the sort of thing that we can do by being here and also partnering with other folks like DreamHack.
So one of the things I noticed when watching a bit of Paladins yesterday on Mixer is that you actually were co-streaming. You had the primary stream, which is the gameplay, and then you were co-streaming the two team views at the same time. Was that part of your thinking? When you part with a thing like Mixer, how did that come to happen?
Yeah, we try to think about what are the advantages of the different live streaming platforms and how can we really take advantage of that and give a better viewer experience. And so as a part of partnership with Mixer in the case of Paladins console and the Smite activity that you can see today, basically we know co-streaming is a big feature. And so, yeah, we designed both the facility and the broadcast experience to take advantage of that. So there's one primary screen where you see the typical spectator view and the stats of the game. And then we have basically two auxiliary views, aux 2 and 3, where you can see the teams while they're playing live. And we'll experiment with that format. We may focus on a player. We can actually focus on a player point of view and see that particular player's in-game view. So there's a lot of different ways that we can take advantage of co-streaming, which is, of course, a key differentiator of Mixer. And if anyone wants to tune in, you know, after they watch your show, they just hop on over to Smite Game on Mixer, and they can see some of that content.
Well, I'll be there for sure. So with Atlanta, right now Atlanta doesn't really have the allure of like someplace like New York or LA-based studios, but given an entity like what you guys have with Skillshot, I mean, that obviously has got to make the city of Atlanta like a little bit more excited, maybe some more eSport friendly. Was there some help from the city? Like, was Georgia involved? Like, how did that work? Was there anything there?
Yeah, I mean, actually, Atlanta and Georgia are quietly taking over digital production. They just haven't gotten the word out. You know, when it started really with film and TV, you know, The Avengers filmed here,
Yep.
Black Panther filmed here, Stranger Things filmed here, Pitch Perfect 3 filmed here. Like every genre is starting to move here, and that's actually because of just a very active state government with tax credits and just trying to make it easy for production to happen here. So that's one, is there's actually a ton of production staff, resources, studios popping up. We're the first company to build this sort of facility around esports, but there's a lot of things Atlanta has going for it. Beyond that studio resources, just the fact that there's a good geek culture here. You know, every September we have Dragon Con, which is probably the best cosplay you'll see anywhere. We have some very large tech universities like Georgia Tech and Georgia State that are very active in gaming on the campus and just have a lot of folks that enjoy playing and watching esports. And then finally, we've actually got the world's busiest airport, so it's easier to get to Atlanta from around the world than anywhere else in the world. Like, there's more direct flights because it's a Delta hub, so it's very easy to get players in and out. That's another reason we host a lot of conventions. So yeah, it's early, but definitely we're working closely with the state and the city to help make this a hub of future esports.
Okay, so Todd, reading between the lines a little bit, I know that you guys obviously, you know, you're doing stuff with Paladins, but one of the things that you guys talked about is that Skillshot might be venturing into other titles, like you talked about, and you were very vague with other titles. Can you elaborate on what else we might expect? Is there anything that we might need to know?
Any spoils? No, I mean, I'll just say that, you know, part of the reason, the primary reason is focus on Hi-Rez titles, and that's what people will see over the next few months, is leveling up that production and competition. But it is a different entity, it has a different name, and that is to be able to serve other games where it makes sense. So actually, I mean, there's kind of an esports explosion right now, as you're aware. You know, a lot of investment, a lot of publishers that are new to it, that are trying to understand it. So we have gotten a bunch of inbound opportunity, which is great, but we need to be deliberate. You know, as you know, it takes a special game to really become an esport. And so we're going to be cautious and make sure it's the right game, it's the right publisher, and it can actually be a sustainable scene. You know, the way we built Smite, we're going on season 6. The way we built Paladins, we just launched the game, but even in early access, we have a pro league where all the players are on salary, right? So we try to be good around not just making this a marketing blitz and then it's done. That's just not worth our time. It's more of, where is it the right game and the right set of partners to really put out something special. So that's the process that we're in, and I think probably by the first quarter of next year, if not before, we'll announce other activities. We're just going through that process of making sure everyone's aligned around doing esports the right way.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I want to give a shout out to Team Envious. They're my boys, so I'm pretty happy about that with how they performed down in in Las Vegas. But Todd, thank you very much. Where can people find you, you and your work and what you do? Like, if people want to follow you, if they want to put like your name, your face on a mug, like what is it that they have to do to make that happen?
Put our game on a mug. It's most important to watch the game. You can see Smite game and Paladins game right here on Mixer, and of course other social networks. And then if they care about what I have to say, I am Todd Allen Harris on Twitter, so that's probably the easiest way to keep in touch with me. And thanks for an opportunity to talk about Hi-Rez and Skillshot.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Todd. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. And just so you guys know, Smite Masters is going on all this week. After this show that's going on right here, make sure that you tune in and check that out. It's right there on the front page.
It's right there on the front page.
You don't even have to it's a Smite game.
Killing it viewership-wise because it is
7,300. I saw last time I was checking out 7,300 concurrents watching that.
Smite.
I
heart you
at
real
their
hard.
amazing studio. Like if you checked out that studio is rad.